Bye.
Hello,
Hey.
Jody Raynsford. Hello, Do Better. How are you all doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm actually tired. I've been up since 5, just 'cause I wake up at 5. But good. Otherwise, we were going to say, before we got into stuff, we keep on changing what software we use. Zoom sucks. Refugee sucks. Riverside sucks. Is there a good recording software for podcasts and video that anyone knows that doesn't suck balls? Because
Yeah,
we seem to be flying through them
we
all, and they
we'd
all
like to
have
go. We'd
massive
like to go
issues.
through all of them to see how much they suck. We want a massive suck scale on. I don't understand. Like, do other when you see other people's like video podcasts and stuff, they don't seem to have any issues with sound quality or video quality, and they seem to be doing it on Zoom or something else. I don't know whether it's because we do so much that actually, probably 90% of the stuff we do is okay, but it's just when the 10% where it
Yeah.
really fucks up, it looks
And
terrible.
around the world, and yeah, true, yeah. It could well be that, but it's just frustrating because you just think this shouldn't be so hard by now. Surely someone realizes you record locally, you record in the cloud, you record both tracks, and you piece them back together when you can, or you do something. But anyway, well, what has been going on? Have you? I want to start with unbelievably good news
Ooh.
in many respects. You know Dominic, who we interviewed, the refugee runner, interviewed on the
Yeah.
podcast. So, have you heard about Dominic?
No. No. What's happened?
This blues. So, Marcus is his coach. He's a lovely man in Switzerland. He messaged me every now and then with updates because he knows that I love it. And Dominic has been, for people who haven't listened to that podcast, go and listen to it. It's really interesting. It started because we'd interviewed Richard Bullock about the refugee team, who are, as it sounds, giving people displaced who they're then trying to get into the Olympics, to the World Championships. Dominic actually fled, and that was a big controversy in the on-film run. And he's been living in Switzerland for a couple of years now, maybe 2-3 years, struggling to really find his place, and particularly to race. So he can race locally, but he can't travel because he can't get visas because he's still a refugee. He was allowed to race in the Diamond League that was happening. In fact, I don't think it was in Switzerland. It was the most recent Diamond League in the 3,000 meters. How do you reckon he did?
They do really well.
So he was Jacob Caplimo was racing, who's bloody good, and he set a 20-second PB. The final lap, Caplimo went early, kind of tried to tear everyone apart, and Dominic was in 5th or something, and just slowly just held on, came back, took him on the line. So he's got a world lead time now in the 3,000 meters, the fastest time this year.
Wow.
And it was amazing to watch the commentary. So I watched on the BBC. The commentary didn't really know, because Dominic was thereabouts throughout the race, but he was always like top 3, top 5. And it wasn't until in the last half a lap they were suddenly like, who's this dude? They kept on calling him Cornelius Kemboy, who's someone completely different. But they didn't really know what to say about him because obviously he wasn't in their notes and they didn't have any track history on him. Steve Crown came in afterwards and clearly had done a Google and started talking. But it's a weird position now where suddenly Dominic has been broadcast to the world, his talent, unbelievable. But to be a Swiss citizen, he needs to have been there for 8 years. So he's now in this weird position where, right, he's shown his talent. And what can happen? Hopefully things like this will help increase pressure, increase just the number of eyeballs seeing this. But it's unbelievable result, but also one where you're like, oh, what? And now, ... question mark. But yeah, unbelievable. Just to tear up.
I mean, what's that situation? Could it turn into a kind of a draft situation where people go, look, come and be a citizen of our country. Like, yeah, we you know, like all the best schools, they want, and all the best colleges, they want the top sports talent, don't they? You're like, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
come and run for us.
I mean, that happens in the Middle East with UAE, Saudi, Qatar, Oman. A lot of their athletes are athletes from Africa who they've recruited in purely for PR. I don't know if Dominic would want that though, because he's got his network, he's got his coach, would you then want to leave the country that you've taken to be your own to go and live somewhere else? That maybe you would. It really depends on how financially and how he sees his life progressing. But hopefully something like this will actually increase pressure for him to be fast-tracked. And in the same way we had with his runner who was facing deportation, and through a petition they stopped it. Maybe that could happen with Can We Adopt Dominic in Switzerland and really get that campaign going. It'd be amazing to see.
That would be amazing, absolutely. Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, really cool. So we'll keep on watching this space, and Marcus, who's his coach, messages quite a lot of the time, and Rich messages every now and then as well. And I think On are doing great things, actually, just the company. A lot of the stuff we've obviously been. What's their
motto now? Jog on? What is it? I can't remember. Come on.
Dream on. Dream on, Dominic. Dream on.
Dream on.
Yeah, I thought
it doesn't sound great, does it, when you say it like that?
Yeah. You want to go to the Olympics, dream on. Dream on. It's so much in the saying, isn't it? But I've got lots of little bits of news. What's been happening with you before I kind of plough through news around the world as such? Or
say again.
What's been happening with you?
I've got these. Right, this is how shit Blue Jeans is. I've got all of this set up in, and I've got headphones in. I'm not hearing anything through the headphones. It's all coming through the computer because this for some reason it doesn't connect until about 5 or 6 minutes into speaking. But I've got this headphone. I can't properly hear you, so I'm just gonna change this for a second so I can do this. God, this is so. How many episodes have we done now?
Oh, too many. That's for sure.
Go on. Sorry, ask me the question again. I still can't hear you.
That sounds different now. Maybe it's because you're closer.
Still not going. My headphones are plugged in. Still not going through my headphones though. Still coming out the.
Well, anyway, before we play on, what's been happening with you? What's happening in Jody's world? Are you training? Are you racing? Are you aiming for something?
I haven't run for probably a couple of weeks. Because it's when you go on holiday, and it's just an utter shit show. Like running up to your holiday, and you end up just like compromising on everything just because you need to get stuff done. It doesn't matter how long you go on holiday for. You can go away for like a week, 2 weeks, or whatever. It's just you seem to do about 3 months worth of work in the run up to the holiday, and it just feels like it's been like that at the moment, interspersed with having to go to all sorts of children's stuff at school, which they seem to put right at the end of term as well. But I have my closest thing to doing anything athletic is going to my kids' sports days, the 2 different sports days that they had as well, which was
so you're not training for that then,
which was very good. But the thing is, what's interesting about it is that, and I think this is kind of like entirely true, is that, and actually this is an indictment upon the lack of sport on TV, is that actually just being in that environment and actually see kids running and actually be somewhere where it is you're seeing people doing things athletic, it is inspiring. It is properly inspiring to see people like competing and running and really, really making an effort and like some people being really fucking good and some people making like a real effort. And it's quite funny because the school that Frida goes to, they have a field because they're in the middle of a town, but their field's not big enough, and so they've got this weird thing where they have a 200-meter track rather than a 400-metre track. And so when they do the kind of 800 metres, it's multiple times. So which is what Frida did. The 200-metre track goes diagonally across the 200-metre track because in order to make it long enough, it's the weirdest.
Do they have a 300-metre race that does it all?
No, but it's great. I mean, and the other thing that you kind of notice about it as well is that I don't remember when we were younger, like there being children of different sizes. All I remember at school was everyone was skinny, and I don't, whatever that's a product of, but everyone was skinny, and so because everyone was skinny, you just knew that some people were fast and some people weren't, and there was never any variables. Like children seem to be all kinds of sizes now. And the sizes they are, like they're short, tall, some a bit bigger, some are kind of like skinny, stuff like that. But the size and the shape they are, it doesn't seem to have any bearing on how quick they're going to be or how athletic they're going to be. Like you couldn't, normally you'd see.
It's better for bookies.
Yeah, exactly. No, but you look at normally, and this is a typical thing people do with runners, isn't it? They look at it like skinny, whip it, going to win this one. Obviously got a long stride length and stuff. And then the short, tubby kid fucking destroys them all. You're like, whoa, that's what we want to see. That's exactly what we want to see. Yeah, it was quite good. I felt that we let the side down by not because they have houses and stuff, by not properly supporting the house that they were in. But then no one was. It was all very kind of genteel and stuff. And I was like, why aren't we wearing red? Why aren't we why aren't we doing this? What were you? Did you have houses at your school?
We did at my senior school, not at my junior school. Yeah.
What were your houses? Because you can tell a lot about a school by the names of their houses.
Middle, upper, all. It's just where they were. One was in the hall, one was up the street, one was in the middle. Lower.
That's very functional.
Westward, because that was by the wood.
At Freedom, they are. It's Austin, Williams.
After David Williams.
After Venus Williams.
Venus Williams.
Watson. After Emma Watson. Who's the other one? Pankhurst. Yeah. They did a vote. They vote every year every year whether to keep it or not or something, and they changed I don't know who they had before. At Hugo's school, it's Grenfell, Mole, Livingston, Christian missionaries. You're like, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, we did have ones in my junior school. We were Wind of the Willows. You had I was a badger. We had rat, toad, and mole.
Great. Badger.
Yeah. I was badgers. Come on, badgers. I forgot about that. I did suggest. I thought there'd be a medium because in some ways, if you're changing it every year, then actually you lose your connection with people above and below, which is almost quite sad because it's quite fun if you meet someone from your school and you're like, oh, which hall did you? Where were you staying? You're like, I was in middle. You're like, oh, I was in middle. Oh, so where were you? And you've got that connection. Whereas if every year they change the names, then. And are they all females then? Is it a girls' school?
Oh, it's all girls' school. Yeah, it is.
Girls' school, okay.
Yeah, very, very different when you have watching a sports day that's mixed and a sports day that's all girls. It's so much more supportive and so much they're all clapping each other. They're all kind of hugging each other. It's a totally different vibe. And then when you watch it on the when it's a mixed one, it's there's a bit of a difference here. It is. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
When I was before I had kids and when children were small, I was like, there is no way my daughter will ever go to an all-girls school. No way, never happen. And look where we are. But yes, it is an all-girls school. But yeah, it was really nice.
I think we know who wears the trousers in that decision. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But well, I'm trying to think what should we spin this onto. So, we actually kind of linking into that. So at Heathside, we've been told that it said for safeguarding reasons, they're now obliged to separate the use of the track by juniors and seniors. So actually, now they have to not only ensure that you're training you're training at different times, which just seems a bit sad. You think,
but isn't it? It's not the other competitors that are normally the ones that. It's normally the coaches who are the pedos, isn't it?
True.
It's
if
the
anything,
coaches you've got to stay away from,
watching.
not your other fellow fucking runners.
You're right. They're getting rid of all the witnesses, all the protection.
Exactly.
This is making it worse.
Oh, basically, so what they're doing actually is they're making sure that all the younger, more vulnerable people are totally separated from the people who can actually safeguarding.
Yeah, I'm assuming this will affect actually quite a few listeners, because that to me just sounds annoying. One, it's annoying to schedule a track anyway, and this makes it more complex. But two, I love the idea, and maybe this is an idea that doesn't happen that much, but you go along with your kids and you do track. Surely that's a lovely thing to do on a Saturday, or rather than having to take your kids then, and then you've got to train at a separate time, which creates problems automatically. I understand the reasons behind the what led to this, but it just seems. I'd say that having a lot of people at a track is not an issue. Surely, isn't it more about times of isolation?
Exactly. That's the issue, isn't it? It's not the safeguard. Yeah, it is weird. Like, what are the situations where mixing those things have caused issues?
Maybe I'm assuming it's because safeguarding is not to do with historical issues and more to do with big people running over small people. Maybe it's that simple, but I just don't. So yeah, it just seems onerous without actually much benefit and a lot of annoyance. Surely,
and doesn't get rid of the Nancy coaches who potentially
doesn't get rid of the doesn't get rid of the empowers them if anything.
Empowers makes it easier.
Yeah, absolutely. But do better. Is this happening at your clubs? Is this happening around the world? And what are your thoughts? Because actually, so much about sport and about health is ease of like the hassle factor. When things become too much of a hassle, you just lose people. And so if you're in essence having to go to the track twice to have your kids and then you there, some people will do that, but some people won't. And that just seems a shame when we're trying
Is that imposed on a club level, or is that being suggested at a higher level?
I've just heard this from a WhatsApp chat. So club level currently, and I don't know whether that's just been a decision by the club or whether it's based on guidance by UK.
Oh, it's not related to you, is it? What you haven't been wearing those shorts again.
Short.
Could it? Yeah. I mean, we're talking about this as though this is some scandalous thing, and they've called it safeguarding just to be polite to you, to kind of go, right, we can't have a conversation with him about the shorts he wears and stuff. So let's just make a general safeguarding thing.
It's basically anywhere where Pete Reed, Danny Glenn, or myself goes to track. They've had to put these rules in because of the shorts. So it's. Is this happening to other short wearers? You know, do we need to stand together in our short shorts? So I'd love to know from others if this is common, if this is an annoyance, if this has stopped some of your training, increased the hassle faster, or if you think it's like necessary, a really good idea, or if it's happening UK wide. So what do you think to relay races and access? Because this is a new one that I've that's come in and thought, actually, this hasn't been done in racing. So you know the big half that happens.
Yeah.
Trying to be the London Marathon equivalent, and they often give out places for access for local runners. I think the intention really is to encourage more people to run. So they're doing a relay for 5K relays, £10 each, and you get a finisher's medal on top and everything. And I think about that and like, actually, well, my first thought was like, wow, I've not seen that before, and that's quite fun. I think that genuinely would encourage access. But do you know the course?
No, I don't know.
So the first course runs away from town, down it's not the A4, but down the major A road, through a tunnel where you then inhale pollutants for about a mile before you emerge into like near the Isle of Dogs. And so you've got these 4 relay legs where the first one and the second one's a bit nicer. It's more of the London Marathon route where you're running back along the Chat Thames. But you're like, these are not equal legs. Like whoever takes that first one out. But I love this. I think this is great. And I don't think there are enough relays. When we did it, the one thing I'd say that was good about Edinburgh Marathon is that we could take a whole load of friends who did a 10K leg. And that just means you can have everyone involved. And this is even more so, right? So I was surprised by this, particularly financially. Like, that's a good deal. But surely a great thing. But a huge logistical nightmare for having all those extra people on the course as well. And the transition zones and how we're going to do it. But yeah, have you heard of anything like this before?
No, I haven't. I'm intrigued as to whether I don't. How much fun is it? I like to think, oh, it's great as a group, but you're never running together as a group at any point, are you? You don't actually see each other at all at any point on the race, apart from when you do the transition. And so I suppose if the route allows you to, when you're finished, and I suppose you can go and support, or you can go to the other transition, or I suppose it depends on how easily accessible it is around on the route. In order to be able to get back and support and stuff like that. I suppose that would be quite good. But
I think that adds to the excitement, is that jeopardy of where do I need to get to at what time? Will I be able to see them?
Yeah.
Do you all start out together in the morning? Do you just go straight to your places? Are you tracking them?
You don't even know if they're there.
Yeah. Like how all those little things, and then meeting up afterwards, talking about your legs, and we had everyone was fancy dressing up, which is quite fun because you're then hanging out with all the other people, and you'll then see, oh, they're fancy dress teams as well, and you'll then I do think it makes you chat to people more because you're waiting longer and you're seeing people come in. There's more going on. Yeah, I think it's a great thing, and actually, like for the clubs, the road relays are always amazing. Well attended and really, really fun, and people absolutely bury themselves. And imagine for this as well, this is quite good because you get a lot of people who aren't necessarily half marathon fit who'll bury themselves for a 5K. So I just thought that was really cool. And did you see we got an email about a new website, a new app?
Oh,
called New Run. Did you see maybe it came on LinkedIn?
Oh no, I didn't see it at all.
Oh, it must be a LinkedIn request. So I think this is one of those ones where they're going to ask to come on the poddy and there's not enough to talk about. But I quite like the idea of this. I don't know if it's going to take off. So what would you say is one of the biggest issues, one of the things you want to, if you sign up to do something like, let's say, a mountain marathon in Switzerland, what would your biggest questions be?
Mountain marathon in Switzerland. My biggest question would be, like, what do I need to wear? Like, what is the kit that I need to bring? If I've not run in that environment before, what shoes I need to wear, the amount of support in terms of aid stations on a route like that. How often am I going to be alone? I think those are kind of the key things, aside from navigation and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I was hoping you would say, something along those lines. Particularly like road marathons, but particularly for trail, You've just got no real sense of what it's going to be like. So this is called, they say, prepare for the course, not for the distance. And the idea is that you can view the route. So this goes, and I actually haven't downloaded it. I've done as much work as we normally do. But the idea is you can then choose the race that you are interested in, and it actually takes you through the route itself. So you can visualize it, you can see what the terrain's like, although for some reason in their trailer they keep on showing things like California International Marathon. I mean, who really cares about a road marathon that much? Because you can see what the height and elevation is like before. Oh wow, they've done it on bikes. This is not a yeah, for one, they've done it on bikes. But this is something I thought this is a great idea, but then they've done it for road marathons, and actually this is here we go. They're now showing trail. And I think this is a great idea, because particularly if you think about the races people spend a lot of money on, it's things like your UTMB races, it's your big out of town ones, some of the rat races, for example. How good would it be to actually have videos of the terrain and of the atmosphere?
I can see why some people would like that. Absolutely, I can see, because they want to prepare for it and stuff like that. But I don't know, I'm slightly different in the sense that I want all that to be a surprise. Because I'm doing it for a different reason. Like, imagine someone like, Richard McDowell, will study every inch of the course, run it multiple times, stuff like that. But if I'm doing like a big race, like not South Downs Way, but, like 100 mile or something like that, or a race on a trail that I've not been on before, I kind of want it to be a surprise.
Would you look at elevation before, for example? Or would you check trail? Elevation.
And the only things I've looked at are road crossings, because knowing that when there's a road crossing and you go on a trail and stuff like that, sometimes it's not clear where the other part of the trail is. So just road crossings and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's easy, because you can do that on Street View. So you could do that anyway. But that would kind of be the only thing. Anywhere that looked like it might be somewhere that you can either get lost, or where there's like a bridge or a roadway and you just, you kind of want to work it out. But those little kind of pinch points, those are the only things that I'd want to. The rest of it, because I wouldn't be racing it. That's the thing. So it's different. I suppose it's different for different people. If you're running it to really perform, absolutely, I could see that.
Would you use it to choose a race?
I see. That'd be quite a good idea. I think as that, I'd find that much more interesting, because when we talk about things like Western States, we talk about UTMB, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to picture what it's actually like. Races are so different. Trail race. I mean, the word trail race is just so fucking broad. You might as well just say, runny, outdoorsy thing, because it can apply to so many things. Like you say, with a road marathon, they're pretty fucking standard. You're never going to get a road marathon that's going to be. There might be something a little bit. You might be in Venice, or there might be Amsterdam, and there might be some like little quirks for a small amount of time. But road race is all the same. But a trail race, the variation between what a trail race can be, Thames Path, or something in the Swiss Alps or whatever, both kind of like trail races to some extent. So I could see that. I think that races that maybe don't have as much prominence could really benefit from this, because people always want to do UTMB, people always want to do 100 miles, things like that. But ones where you are selling the environment, the atmosphere, and the location. If in locations that people maybe don't
or the
know
support, or the variety, or the
or the quirkiness of it, or something like that. I think that would definitely. I think it could be a really good sales tool.
So so this would be interesting, because I've looked at this and actually it's clearly an American company, because they, on the front page, it says check out our initial events, and it's the California Marathon, the Big Sur Marathon, the LA Marathon, the San Francisco Marathon. You're like, none of these does it matter in any way. Maybe to see what the crowds are like, but who gives a crap? You're signing up for a marathon really either for a time, or because it's local, or because you know someone there, or you want to visit the place. So, but this could potentially be something where it pivots, and I'll be fascinated to know how they get the videos in, because that make a huge impact on what it's like. Whether you have, is it someone on a bike who does it on race day? Is it someone who's just filmed it at some point? Is it user-generated content from YouTube, from Instagram? And then where this goes is, because I could imagine, you're right, actually, this could end up being something slightly different to what their intended use is. And it might be it's used more as a marketing tool by races. That's how they make their money, rather than by customers who are looking to figure out their trainers or
what's the cycling app that everyone uses where they got the you've got the environment where you're kind of cycling through it and stuff like that. You could do that with what's it called?
As in like Peloton?
No, the other one where you have like the video and the thing on your bike, and what's that called? Begins with a Z, something like that. You could just you do the same thing. You could just you could sell the opportunity to run a race on your treadmill. I mean, not the same, but there's lots of opportunity. It's like Google Trail View. That's what they
Yeah. And that's the thing, even when you can watch Western States live stream, but you still don't get a sense of it because it's a camera runner who's filming a runner. So actually you're seeing a little strip. You don't get to really see what the valley's like. You might be able to see the trail a little bit underfoot.
The closest thing I've seen to getting close to how a trail feels is your Golden Trail stuff. That's the closest in terms of trying to understand like the intensity. But that's really talking about the competitors and the intensity in which they're going around the course and getting a feeling of that. But even within that, it doesn't necessarily relate to what your experience. No,
because they're running everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, this would be very different when you're walking after 6 hours.
Yes.
So, and even within that, it's always hard to tell how steep something is unless you've got the wide angle, and that's when you're like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Golden Trail. Should we finish that, John? What? In fact, you've got to go in 3 minutes. Let's save it for next week, shall we? But so actually, that is New Run, NEU. I mean, that's annoying, isn't it? The way they spell that. NEU.
Neurun.
Neurun. But
sounds German.
Nice idea.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Neurun. I don't know if it will last because I'm not sure what the business case there is. But it's a nice idea. I think it could be useful. So fingers crossed for that.
Would you invest in it? If you're a dragon, would you invest in it? Or would you ask if it's trademark? And what's to stop someone else coming in and stealing the concept? Are those the things you're thinking of?
I guess the big question is what's to stop Strava integrating it into their runs, where they could do quite easily, right? Because I'll search for races on Strava sometimes, and even when I went to Mont Blanc, I looked at segment times, looked at different course routes because they change it every year. So what's to change? What you already have? They're introducing video now to Strava. Will they then introduce it? And so then it's going to come down to the ease of use. So, but I might download it actually.
User-generated content, couldn't you, along trails and stuff?
Well, how about this? Let's download it as a podcast. Let's see if how it works, and if it's user-generated content, let's do some do-better content, because we could create some footage that is unexpected, shall we say?
Unexpected.
Or we could do the beerathon. I'm going to put the beerathon on there because that's probably a race that no one's seen in its full glory before, unless they've experienced it.
I would love someone to do like the South Downs Way 100, but the South Downs Way 100 at a time when people are like dogging in the car parks along the route or something, just add a completely different flavour to your experience.
Yeah, or there's an illegal rave happening at the top. And, well, That's it. It was a LinkedIn message and invite from the CEO and founder. So good luck with that, Cade. We think it's a nice idea. And do badders. Got the cat looking at me. Look at that. Hello.
Oh,
Can you see that? It's like
unbelievable.
wow, unbelievable. Yeah, the things we have to deal with. Roll with the punches. Very cute cat as well. That's a new cat. I've not seen that before. Well, do badders. Download it. You run, and then let's start creating some content. I'll have a play and see what kind of mischief I think we can suggest. Guess that brings us to a close, doesn't it? Given the time you've got to shoot off.
Yeah, exactly. It's another fucking school event I've got to go to, and then at 12 o'clock they both finish school, and then we've got 9 weeks of summer holidays.
Oh wow, fun! Oh wow, so you've been on holiday and it's not even. Wait, you've been on holiday. And it's not even the summer holiday.
No, going on holiday on Saturday.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm going to Paris. Well, what would you suggest to do in Paris? What's your
catacombs?
See, the thing is, I've been to the catacombs. Libby thinks they're boring, so she doesn't want to take the kids down the catacombs.
The kids will find it whack, insane. There's an amazing market in the north of Paris. Really good flea market, antique market / Camden style market. That's good.
I've got a story about the catacombs. When they kind of weren't as big as they were in terms of an attraction, and we were at our hotel, and I was trying to say to the guy, like, we want to go to the catacombs, and he was going, the what? I was like, the catacombs. And he goes, well, what's the French word for it? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that is a French word. Catacomb. I was like, yeah, catacomb's a French word, definitely. It's definitely the right word. But it was like it used to be much more kind of like hush hush when you went there and stuff like that. It was like meeting someone.
More kind of respectful.
Yeah, it's a bit more sort of well, they've got a guided tour and stuff and everything now, haven't they? So it's a bit different, but yeah, they're not interested in that. So I don't know what we're doing. Eiffel Tower.
I mean, kids and bodies and weird they've got to be surely. But
I know,
mean, you're not going to be
short
of things to do. You're not going to be short of things to do in Paris. There's plenty to do.
I think I'm going to ruin Libby's experience by going to like the only vegan place, a vegan restaurant. And she's like, we are not going to a vegan restaurant. I'm not going in some fucking hippie, dirty, smelly, like bloody patchouli smelling place where we're all eating fucking bean burgers. And I'm like, all right. I don't think it's like that, but fine. So
how does she have such a negative view of? She lives in Brighton, where there's loads of them. Well, she lived in Brighton. There's hundreds of amazing vegan places. So is that more a stain on her view of French?
No. But Libby has a balance. She has a balance between what she considers to be really good manners and also really hating vegans and everything about them. And the thing is, because I said to her, if you want to eat, she goes, we can't ever go to any nice places. I'm like, you can absolutely go to all these nice places. It's just I can't have all the food. It's just as simple as that. I'll have something, but I won't be able to have, like, you know, the steak tartare course and stuff like that, which is kind of what she wants. And she goes, yeah, but that would just be weird if you're not eating. I'm like, but I can't do anything about that. I'm not stopping you from going. You are stopping yourself from going. It's a bit weird in that aspect. The children. This is actually funny. I don't know. Do you know about Forest Green Football Club?
No.
They're well known because the guy that runs it. I think it's Ecosatry or something like that. It's green energy company, and they're a vegan club. They are like what's it called? There's no gender pay gap there. It's like really kind of progressive. It's kind of an experiment and stuff like that. Hugo was playing FIFA on the, and this is how much they respect me. Hugo was playing FIFA, and he was playing as someone, and he got beaten by Forest Green on that, and I could hear him in the other room going, "Damn vegans!" Just like, what? It's just, I have such little respect for me, such little respect for my beliefs. But yeah, I want to make him go to a vegan place in Paris, because there are actually loads, and no one really expects it. So I think
take them to one they don't know is vegan. That's how you've got to do it, right? You've got to trick them into it.
Exactly. That's a good idea. That's exactly what I want to do. We'll see if that works. All right,
Well,
then,
mate,
man.
enjoy your holiday. How long are you away for?
10 days. 10 days.
10 days. Well, have a lovely time. And I will see you on the next time. Do badders. Do let me know about what's happening at your club, if you have a club. And if there's any guests you want us to interview, topics you want us to talk about, message me, david@badboyryan.com.
And if you want to join the conversation, head over to Facebook, answer 3 questions, and you can join. Lorna's back now, so we'll open the store, and you can get lots of merch from there as well.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye 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 bye.
Bye.